Alright, welcome back. In this video, I am right now, I thought I was. There we go. Now I'm in my project's root level directory where manage.py lives, and I'm on my virtual environment that my name is proj-n for project environment. In this video, we're going to talk about URLs and how Django kind of handles URLs. So I'm going to cd into our configuration directory here, where our settings.py lives and our project's root configuration level urls.py lives. And I actually have that file open here. So this is your urls.py file. You're going to have multiple ones of these throughout all your different apps. So it's very important that you keep track of which one is your root level one and which one are your separate application level ones. That'll become more clear as we start to build our app. Alright, you can see here there's this little link at the top that will bring up this page right here that talks about the URL dispatcher in Django and what it really does. So we'll just go over the basics here and how Django processes a request. So the first thing it does is it determines the root URL configuration model to use, and that's set in that settings.py file, and that was pointing to this file right here, the tutorial urls.py. And where was that? Here we go. Alright, so it then loads the Python module. Let me maximize this. It then loads the Python module, and that would be the urls.py file, urls.py module. It loads that and looks for the variable URL patterns. So we have this variable right here, URL patterns, which is a list. And let's see, Python list of URL instances. Yep, it runs through each of the URL pattern in order. So it runs from top to bottom of the list, or from index 0 to the last index, and stops at the first one that matches a requested URL. So right now there's only one. It would search through the first one, and it's got to match this admin. Anything that's after this, even if it if it starts with admin, it's going to stop because it matches the first one that matches your search request. All right, and then it imports and calls a given view, which is a simple Python function. And in the Python view, we're going to give it an instance of an HTTP request. And I think that's really all that's required. Yep, and if no regular expression matches, it invokes an appropriate error handling view. So at the very basic level, you just need to understand the very first thing Django is going to do is go into your root level URL configuration file. It's then going to find the URL patterns variable, the list, and search through all these instances of the URL object. Alright, and it's going to apply this right here, which this is a regular expression. This R right here doesn't stand for regular expression, it stands for raw text. And all it means is Python's not going to do anything with this string, it's just going to give it to you exactly as it looks. This caret right here means go to the front of the string, and then it's going to match admin followed with a /. And when it sees that, it's going to give you the admin, or it's going to include the admin.site.urls. Alright, so to make this a little clearer, let's create our first URL. What I want to do is I want to make a new URL instance of a new object of a URL, new instance of a URL object. And I'm going to call this one home. And I'm just going to say views.home, and I'm going to give it a name, and the name is kind of like a keyword, so anytime I want to reference this views.home from within my templates or within my code, I can just call it home. Again, we're going to get more into that here soon. So now that I saved that, I'm going to save that, and let's run our server. So I need to jump up one level to where manage.py lives, and I'm going to say python manage.py run server. It's going to give me an error because views is not defined. And you see here's my line that I just typed, URL views.home, and it's saying views is not defined. The reason is I never imported the views module from, I think, let's try that, from .views, or from here, import views. That's what I'm trying to do. So the dot means from this current directory, import the views module. Save it, and we're going to run it, and we get another error, cannot import views. And you see that line I just typed, it's line 18, and we can't import views. The reason for that is because we don't have a views file. So we have to make that. It's searching in the same directory as a urls.py file. So I need to make a views.py file. Alright, so now we're going to write a real quick view here. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to get the job done. So from Django.http, import HTTP response. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to define a new function called home. And I get that name from right here because we said go into the views module, give me the home function. And if you remember over here, anytime you make a view, the view gets passed with following arguments. The first one is an instance of an HTTP request. So we're going to have to pass that instance of the HTTP request in, and we just do that by typing request. Alright, and now we're going to return HTTP response, our first view. Let's save that, and let's see what happens. So let's go back to our commander. Where is commander? There it is. Let's go back to commander. Go into our root level directory. Let's launch our server. So python manage.py runs server, and everything's working. Let's bring a tab over here, and I'm going to say localhost :8000. So that works. So now let's try going to, we said match home with a /, and then we should see what we just did. So let's try that. So localhost 8000 home. Oh, look at that, our first view. Alright, so that's kind of the process of how the URL processor works, the URL dispatcher works, is it cuts off the name of the host, which in this case is localhost :8000, looks at everything that comes after it, which is in this case home with a /, and then goes into your URLs files, which it starts at your project's root URL configuration file, this one, goes to your URL patterns variable, searches through the lists, finding anything that matches right there, home, and then it calls a view. Alright, in the next videos we'll start to get more advanced with our views, and this is going to become you're going to become very, very familiar with this. It gets very easy once you start to work with it a bunch. So don't be, if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, don't worry about it.